Okay, with that, the January 12th, 2023 City of Friendswood Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting is now called to order. We will begin by receiving communication from the public to comply with provisions of the Open Meetings Act. The commission may not deliberate on subjects discussed under this agenda item. However, the commission may direct such subjects be placed on a later regular commission agenda for discussion and/or possible action. Seeing no one from the public this evening, we will move on. Next is our consent agenda. These items are considered routine or ministerial in nature and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of items unless a commissioner so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Shows to be unanimous. And what I failed to say, by the way, and you guys didn't catch me, I didn't say what we were approving was the November 10th, 2022 minutes, did I?
You did say minutes.
Yeah, okay. Well, the minutes in question were the Thursday, November 10th, 2022, Planning and Zoning regular meeting held Thursday. Wait a second, sorry. Wow, when I start reading and I read
It'd be the
I am gonna-
December
I usually-
22nd.
so I usually make one mistake, usually at least one, so hopefully I've gotten this one out of the way. This would be the December 22nd, 2022 minutes.
Yes.
Karen, is that, since I came back and clarified that, that's the minutes in question, do I need to go back and redo a motion and vote?
They voted to approve the consent agenda, everything on the consent.
Perfect, just making sure. I will try to do better. Next on the agenda are our action items. According to Planning and Zoning Rules of Procedure R 2021-18, all action of the commission shall be made by an affirmative vote of 4 or more members of the commission present at such commission meetings. Our first action item this evening is a request for a zone classification change from a community shopping center zoning district to a single-family residential zoning district for 36,823 square feet of land out of a Lot 1 of the final plat of Jeter Memorial Funeral Home located at 401 North Friendswood Drive, Friendswood, Galveston County, Texas. The public hearing to receive comments, both oral and written, regarding the proposed zone classification change is now open. Aubrey, are you doing the staff summary,
Yes, sir.
please?
So this is just under an acre of land that the applicant is requesting to change from CSC to single-family residential. He would like to, owns the adjacent business and would like to build his house at this location. If approved, the property would be required to be platted. I think we've kind of worked out how we could meet the requirements of the subdivision ordinance by platting a roadway to the property back there. Also, if approved, the future land use map would need to be amended as well. The future land use map identifies all this property developing as retail. It's been zoned commercial since the original 1970 official zoning map for Friendswood. It does abut some single-family residential property to the rear of it, so it is adjacent to some other single-family residential zoning.
Great, thank you. Would the applicant like to make any comments at this point?
Just looking for.
Okay, no comments at this point. Okay, that's fair. We may call you up later on when we start discussing it. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak for making this change? Seeing none, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak against making this change? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. The public hearing for this topic is now closed. The commission will now consider making a recommendation on the requested zone classification change. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Great. Marcus, any comments or questions?
Just one comment. There's a house on that property that's been there since before the zoning was in place, so I don't really have an issue with changing residential to residential. That's really all I have to say about it.
Travis?
Kind of the same. I think this makes sense, and it's next door, so I don't think it affects anybody local around it.
Okay. Tom?
Same here, replacing house with a house, so.
And Brian? Way down there on the end. Yeah, I thought this was straightforward as well, seemed very reasonable, especially with keeping the front along Friendswood Drive as commercial. I think it makes perfect sense. Okay, with that, we have any other discussion, any other questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Shows to be unanimous. You're welcome. Our final action this evening is to consider adopting amended rules of procedure for the Planning and Zoning Commission. Is there, well, I'm going to ask, we're looking to approve these this evening?
It's up to y'all. It is an action item, so.
So, okay,
you
I
can-
thought as well. So
Yeah.
is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Aubrey? Is there a staff summary?
Actually, Karen's
Oh,
going
Karen's
to
good.
present
Thank
this
you.
one.
A few little information here. One thing, at your seat, I have typos, so I tried to highlight all my typos for you. So those are some things that I found as I went through, so I apologize for that. While we're there, on the first part, it wasn't really a typo, but it talks about the minutes being entered into a book. I'd like to suggest that maybe we change that. Council changed their rules to just say that the minutes will constitute the official record. We'd like to keep all minutes and things electronic or going more electronic. So that might be an amended motion to just make that one change as we go forward. But if we, so we have changed, I categorize them into 3 different areas, and they're either non-substantive, just kind of cleaning things up, just some things in conformance with law. So if law already talks about them, I think we just rely on the law. We don't need to try to restate it here, because if the law changes, then we've got to come back. And then some more substantive changes. So just to go through those real quickly, there were references to new sections of the city code. The city code was amended by council, and so all the different sections got changed. So there's some of those, so that happened in those sections identified. There's changes from references to chairperson to presiding officer where appropriate. It allows the city planner to call meetings to order in absence of a chair or vice chair. It was kind of silent on who did that, so we just kind of clarified that, not really a substantive thing. It lists the duties of the sergeant at arms, reflects that the city planner acts as the city secretary. Again, that's what we already do, but just kind of showing that in our rules. And it removes the references to the charter as when the references to the charter were in there, the charter really didn't address you all or anything pertaining to what it was talking about. So we referenced it to like state law or local law instead when appropriate. Some of the conformance with laws, we did put in there that executive sessions, we didn't state specifically, but executive sessions are allowed pursuant to law. So instead of saying everything's opened, the language has changed a little bit just to reflect that we can go into executive session if the law allows us to. Also recognizes that rules may be suspended in accordance with law, not just local law. So I think it was just local law. So we said state law or anything else that would require us to suspend the rules, we could do that. It removes the references to Chapter 171. That's the conflict of interest statute. But for you all, you have 2, lucky you, conflict of interest statutes. You have one under 212 for your subdivision, and you have 171 for all your zoning issues. So we just removed that because that's going to apply to you regardless if we reference in there or not, and it changes, and so didn't want to continue to have to try to be updating that. The language regarding recesses and further meetings, again, that's governed by state law, and I quoted the statute. The OMA up there is Open Meetings Act, so in Open Meetings Act, it tells you when you can. It's got to be in good faith. You can't be trying to circumvent the Open Meetings Act and things like that. If you can't hold it within 72 hours, then you have to go ahead and repost. Incorporates 551007. This doesn't need to be in there. I stuck it in there, so that's a question for you all. The act provides that if a speaker is not a non-English speaker, you have to double their time, so that's in your rules. So that's kind of a new legislative change in 2021. So, and legislature's back in session, so who knows what they'll do to us
Right.
this time. Also, details communications about, from commission and members and council and staff. So basically, there's items of community interest, and there's 6 of those items. They're listed in 6.2 of the rules, I believe. And that's pursuant to law. You don't have to have those published on the agenda to talk about those congratulatory things or things that come up. But if there's something that you're going to talk about, a report or something like that, we just ask that you let us know. We'll stick it on the agenda and we can talk about it all day long. We don't have a problem. So that's consistent with what council's doing too for their meetings. Then the next one is just allow special meetings to be called by 3 members instead of 4, again, trying to avoid the quorum issue with the Open Meetings Act.
So, I mean, because I'll forget to come back to this one.
Sure.
So give me an example of what you're thinking here. Allow special meetings to be called by 3 members of the commission rather than a quorum. What kind of, I mean, is this like subcommittee meetings?
A special meeting of the commission, it says that it can be called by the city planner, it can be called by the chair, or by, said 4 members. And so the concern, 4 members you view as a quorum, and we don't want you out there talking and trying to.
Open meeting.
Right,
issue.
of meetings violation, just to try to get a meeting going. So that's all that is.
So I read that as a subcommittee meeting.
Would that be an example? No.
No, I think it's to call a special meeting, like that we would post an agenda for.
Oh,
Oh,
but it wouldn't be a quorum. Okay, when would we, can you come up with an example of why we would ever use this? I mean,
So
remember-
maybe your chair and vice chair are out of the country or not around, and something comes up and you all feel that there's something that you all need to consider, or 3 of you do, and so 3 of you could get together and ask for a meeting to be held.
oh, okay. So it would still be a formal,
It'd still be a formal meeting of the
one
commission.
afterwards, but the 3 people, 3 members could then request a special meeting.
Correct.
Oh. We ever done anything like that?
No, I mean,
You
most all
can
of
get
our
rid of
meetings
it.
are scheduled and,
We meet every other week.
yeah.
I don't think you want to
Basically.
meet anymore, but just in case.
And so what was the reason for adding for?
Well, it said 4
Making-
members. Your current rule says that 4 members of you all can get
Oh,
together.
I see.
and
So
call.
it's in, okay, I
it's in
missed
your
that.
current
It's in
rules.
there already,
I'm just
but it makes
reduced
no
it down
sense to have
3.
4 because that's then a quorum
That's
issue.
a quorum issue.
I understand completely
All right.
now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay, and the next one, it just clarifies that motions may be passed by majority vote of the commission members present at the meeting, and requires notification if the law requires something greater than majority. And so that's consistent with council's rules that they recently adopted. So council does require 4 votes because that's required by their charter. So it's required by law for council to have 4 or more. For planning and zoning commissions, it is not required by law, so we're just going back to what the law would require. So the law would only require, since there's no other law, it would just require a majority of those present and voting.
Okay, since we're going one by one, at least I've interrupted you each time. On this one, I'm a little concerned. It's only that council has to have 4 votes, regardless of whether there's 5 or 6 or 7 people there. And up till now, planning and zoning has had to have 4 votes. My concern is on things, everyday things that then go to council. A majority seems reasonable at that point, that, you know, as long as a majority is ready to recommend and send it forward, then that's probably okay. But there are powers that planning and zoning has, things that don't ever go to council. Why would we do it something different than council? Just back to consistency. If 4 votes are needed at council to make final decisions on the things that are planning and zoning can make final decisions, why wouldn't we just keep 4 votes? I'm trying to think it through because I just don't remember it ever being an issue. As long as we had a quorum, I just don't remember an issue of things failing and delaying contractors or delaying the developers because one person thought differently. I just haven't seen that as an issue. Help me understand what you're thinking. Why would we do this? What was the reasoning?
Well, I think the reasoning, because the law doesn't provide that you have to have a supermajority or 4 or more members to approve a plat or to approve a zoning ordinance. The law doesn't state that you have to have that. So we're just going back to what the actual law, and your your duties, a lot of them are prescribed by law. Yeah, you do go to council for the recommendations and stuff for zoning, but your subdivision, it ends with you. And so there's no, in 212, there's no provision that says that you have to have, or planning and zoning commissions have to have more than just a majority vote. It's a simple majority vote.
Is this something that's been broken, that's caused us an issue in the past?
No, I think maybe, so council had the retreat last year and discussed just getting all the boards and committees on one level playing field and just kind of getting back to the basics. So that, one board or committee is not necessarily so different from others.
I see.
So just consistency across the board. The appointment policy was like 20 pages and it's like 3 now, because they codified, actually moved, all the boards and committees into the code of ordinances. So it's more official. So that, I think was just, it wasn't to P&Z directly. It was a group, just kind of lumped in with a general decision.
But the other boards, FDEDC let's not use them maybe, but the other boards that are under city council, they are all just a plain majority?
ZBOA is the exception,
Well, they're
because they're required
quasi-judicial.
by law to have 4 votes to approve a variance. So their requirement is actually called out in the code of ordinances as that.
Okay.
So, and
Well, thank you for explaining. I didn't mean to get us all way off track, and I'm sure everybody else is going to have questions. I'm just monopolizing for now because as I've come into these, I wanted to understand it.
And it is a big change because, the 15 years I've been working with the commission, that's just been our norm. So it is going to be different. I think in instances like the meeting right before Christmas, we had 4 members. In order to approve an action item, it has to be a unanimous vote. So it might be a little more beneficial for an applicant to, if there's only 4 here, then just 3 have to approve it. So it kind of might take some of the pressure off.
Right. And we do have timing restraints. As the board, I understand that. Okay. Well, it just seems like it's not broken. Why fix it? Because I never know what the unintended consequences are. But I don't feel really strongly about it. Well, okay.
If you want to keep it, it just has to be approved by city council. It's the new ordinance that says that no board can basically subject the city to more requirements than required by state law unless approved by council. So if if y'all are like,
As I said, I don't know what everybody else thinks. I kind of like it the way it is because we are the final decider on several things prescribed by the law. Okay, well, I don't feel strongly. We'll hear other discussion. I didn't mean to stop us, so please, Karen, thank you.
So just a majority of those present and voting is for 2 sections listed up there in black. The other ones, there's still some supermajority issues for like suspending the rules, amending the rules, and things like that. That didn't change because those pertain to you, not necessarily the applicant, just how you all run your meetings. And so those were left as they were for you to run your meetings, calling the question and different things of that nature. And the next one was the start time. So we just mirrored council's rules that it's going to start at 6, but there's some flexibility in there that it can be changed by the call of the city planner or the chair. So that can be changed if you have a lot of things on the agenda or not much on the agenda and need to start later. There's a big basketball game or whatever the case may be. That can be adjusted. And the last one, it just conforms the method of appointment of subcommittees to the method to which they're abolished. And again, this can be changed, but it says that they can be appointed. Doesn't say really how currently, but it can be abolished either when they're done or when the whole commission determines that they're done or abolishes them.
Yeah, we've had some ad hoc committees, and you're right, we never did do anything to formally abolish them, did we? They reached their natural conclusion,
So
make a
that's-
recommendation, and then they didn't meet anymore.
And that's fine, and that's what your rules currently say, and they will continue to say that
Okay.
once they're done, they're abolished, or the whole commission can abolish
Okay.
them if that's necessary. So we put in there that the whole commission can appoint them too, if that's, just being consistent. So, but however you want to do that is fine as well. We can make changes. And that's all I have. So if you have any questions, I'm glad to try to answer anything. Again, sorry for my typos.
No. Commissioner Rives, I'll start with you. Okay. Commissioner Mann?
No questions.
Okay. Commissioner Hinckley?
None. Thank you.
Commissioner Bounds?
None, sir.
I took up all the oxygen in the room. Got it. Got it.
It's a first for everything.
Say that again?
Thank you for clarifying everything.
Oh, I'm just slower. It just takes me a little bit to catch up with everybody.
So the chairman, if you do want to make the amendment to the book on the first page there that I've highlighted,
Thank you.
if you could do an amended motion if you want to accept that change or any other changes you want to make.
Okay. Commissioner Rives?
Will amend my motion to approve with the caveat that we change the comment about entering in the book to electronic storage. I don't know what the proper term for that would be.
Sure, if it would just be shall constitute the official record, and we would just leave it as that.
Sounds
That's
good to
all
me.
right.
Oh. Oh, I thought you seconded it.
That was the one before.
Ah. Oh, you're right. Should read my own notes.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Shows to be unanimous. Great. Next on our agenda is communications. And we will start with announcing that the next two Planning and Zoning Commission regular meetings have been scheduled for Thursday, January 26, 2023, and Thursday, February 9th, 2023. We will continue communications with the December 2022 DRC report from staff.
The DRC report was included in your packet material. I think there was only one meeting for that month. It was a little slow, but as always, if you have any questions about that, let me know.
Okay. Next is city council updates from our liaison council member, Trish Hanks.
So I would give you okay, I'll come up there and use the microphone. I'll give you some news about this past Monday night city council meeting and a recommendation that you sent to council to accept the zoning change for the property right in front of, or right behind Masa Sushi in front of Hunters Creek. The council did not approve that recommendation. It was a 4-3 vote. As I understand it, the ones who voted against it were expressed things like when property owners buy their property and see what is zoned next to them, that they should have a reliable expectation that it remain that way. So if they oppose it, then these members that voted against it were also going to oppose it. So that was that. Thank you for your work on that. Sometimes that happens when you make recommendations to council, then people get to voice their opinions, and 7 more people have different opinions, so that's what happens. The tree giveaway is coming up. Are you going to tell them about that?
No, go ahead.
Is it the 21st? I think it's the 21st. And there are some really nice trees that are going to be given away this time, and so they'll probably be gone. I think there are 100 7-gallon or 15-gallon. They're big, and they'll probably be gone in the first 30 minutes. So if you want some, you need to get there early. And the ordinance thing was really the most important thing to talk to you about. So any questions on that?
And the other two changes were approved unanimously,
Yes,
correct?
yes, they were. Yeah, yeah. So any questions about any of those?
Oh, the other two weren't?
What were the other two? You'll have to remind me.
Oh,
That was the
one was the property on 2351.
That one was approved. It was not unanimous. I think
Oh.
it was a 6-1
6 to
vote.
Oh,
Yeah, is
okay,
that
thank
right?
y'all.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
okay. And then what was the other one?
The other was the church property on
Yes,
528.
that one was approved unanimously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it.
Anything else? Any
no.
other questions?
Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Good, you're
We got to
welcome.
make your next meeting.
Good.
Okay, we'll continue our communications with comments from our commissioners. Commissioner Bounds, anything?
Always a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Commissioner Rives? Commissioner Hinckley?
No, sir.
Commissioner Mann?
Nothing to add tonight.
I have nothing else. I appreciate everybody coming tonight. Thank you, everyone, for all your help and assistance. And we'll now go to Aubrey.
I don't have anything. Just making sure we didn't put the time for our future meetings on the agenda, because our next meeting will be at 6 p.m., not 7, so.
Hear anything else? Okay. With that, again, thanks everybody for attending tonight, and the January 12th, 2023 Planning and Zoning regular meeting is now adjourned.